Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the Thames Valley. Holes in the ceiling, leaks and mould. People living on an Oxfordshire estate say their properties are a health hazard.
Take your rent and then do nothing. And they don't care that there's humans living in these houses.
From baby hedgehogs to birds of prey, the Wildlife Rescue Centre in Didcot that says it's struggling to cope with rising costs.
Also this Friday evening, final rehearsals for the dancers chosen out of thousands to represent our region.
And a festival of curiosity, a fiesta for children at the start of the summer holidays. I'm in Winchester to look at the wonderful world of science.
Good evening. People living on an estate in Oxfordshire say they fear for their health because their housing association is not properly maintaining properties.
ITV News Meridian was invited into two homes on the Windrush estate in Witney, owned and managed by Sanctuary Housing. Both tenants told us they've had issues with mould and drafty windows and say they constantly have to fight for repairs. Mel Blaw reports.
So here in our kitchen, this is the massive hole in our ceiling. We had a leak and water pouring through. They sent someone out, they took that panel out, and it's been like that ever since. It's been like that for 2 months now.
This leak in Charlotte Anker's kitchen is the latest in a string of issues she says she's had to deal with since moving in almost a year ago. Blown windowsills, mould and a broken toilet, all repairs the mum of three claims she's had to fight for. And the kitchen ceiling isn't the only one with a hole in it.
Here in our bedroom is another hole in the ceiling. This is from a roof leak and this has been like this since last year. You wouldn't get this with private renting, and we have 3 children as well. We have vulnerable people living in the house. It should be kept to a certain standards. My son had asthma as a baby, my eldest, and he grew out of it. Since living here, it's developed again. And my little girl, Demi, she's 2 in November. She's currently got croup. She's never suffered with anything to do with her chest.
A few doors down on the Windrush estate, Lisa Ellis is also feeling neglected by Sanctuary Housing. She says her windows have been blown since she moved in 10 years ago, and her repeated pleas to tackle the damp and mould in her bathroom ignored.
Everything you do with Sanctuary is a fight. You can't just say, look, something's broken, can you come fix it? You have to fight for it. And then they blame you. And it's very depressing. It's incredibly frustrating, and especially if you're not a well person like myself. They just want to take your rent and then do nothing. And they don't care that there's humans living in these houses.
In addition to tenants' complaints over lack of care, concerns have also been raised about the number of properties lying empty on the estate. Some are believed to have been vacant for more than a year. In a statement, a spokesperson for Sanctuary Housing said, "We are working with our residents of the Windrush estate to resolve any issues they have in their homes, whilst also ensuring we understand any longer-term investment requirements." Both Charlotte and Lisa believe they've waited long enough and the Housing Association needs to act now. Mel Blaw, ITV News, Witney.
In other news, a man in his 30s has been threatened with a handgun in Bracknell. It happened off Jocks Lane yesterday while the victim was looking for a stolen motorbike. A 40-year-old man from Bracknell and a 45-year-old man from Datchet were arrested on suspicion of possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence. They both remain in police custody.
The family of a man who died in a collision in Shillingford in Oxfordshire say he touched many people with his kindness and selfless generosity. James Dollar died on the 4th of July. His loved ones say he was a kind, generous and caring man. He was a father to 2 boys.
A man has been jailed after a series of burglaries in Swindon earlier this year. Christopher Daniel Clark stole collectible coins, cash and jewellery. He also targeted homes in Hampshire. He's been sentenced to 3 years and 9 months. Police say they hope the significant sentence demonstrates that officers will do everything they can to bring offenders to justice.
There's a warning to people in Oxford to think about what they throw out. The City Council wants to reduce avoidable fires caused by batteries. Batteries caused a fire in a bin lorry recently, and nationwide batteries not removed from electricals have caused more than 700 such fires. Residents should place batteries and electricals in separate bags and put them on top of their rubbish, mixed recycling or garden waste bins. That includes batteries in vapes and mobile phones. A wildlife rescue centre near Didcot says it's struggling to cope after an influx of animals and the impact of the cost of living. Oxfordshire Wildlife Rescue is worried that without extra support it won't be able to carry on its work. The charity rescues over 4,000 animals a year and gets a call for help every 25 minutes. Here's Natalie Verney.
This tawny owl came to the centre very poorly. At one point they didn't know if they could save it. But today it's allowed out of the hospital and into an enclosure for the first time. Its first step back to freedom.
So this little guy that we just put in here was suffering from something called trichomoniasis, or flounce in birds of prey. It's a nasty condition in the crop and the throat, etc. But he's been treated. He's been given that second chance, and he's back out here now.
The team receive a patient every 25 minutes and their ambulance is on call throughout the night. They treat all types of wildlife, from a tiny mouse to the largest deer.
So hedgehogs are one of your most common patients?
They are, yes. At the moment we have about 30 baby hoglets in with us at the moment, and as you can see, this one needs some help syringe feeding. We have to do this throughout the night when they're really young, before they can independently lap and eat for themselves.
I think this one wants to get down.
I know.
There we go.
And hopefully he may have a little
You're gonna have a drink.
feed all by himself.
It all began 8 years ago when Luke and his wife nursed a pigeon back to health in their kitchen. Today, it's a charity that costs £10,000 a month to run and relies solely on public donations.
We're now in a position where we are breaking even, but the worry is that there's nothing else left. And the reserve pot is dwindling before our very eyes. And for example, if something went wrong with the ambulance tomorrow, we'd be stuck. And this is the concern that we have. There's no room for expansion. There's no room for error.
Possibly a victim of their own success, demand for their services just keeps on growing. And Luke's worried they'll have to start turning animals away.
Down here we've got the tawny owls.
Yeah.
And down there we've got the kestrels, we've got the ducks, the garden birds, but in here we've got the foxes.
Oh, I love it's so beautiful.
Yeah, these are our pride and joy really. They're absolutely gorgeous creatures. Then we've got the gulls all the way along here with more ducks.
And then this must be where you're wanting to expand, I presume, it looks like.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, ideally we want an extra 12 out here. We've got a variety of species we need to cater for.
So what's your name, please?
Luke has big ambitions. Long term, he wants to create Oxfordshire's first and only wildlife veterinary hospital. But that seems a long way off. Today, he just wants to make ends meet so he can carry on caring for all those who need it. Natalie Verney, ITV News.
Next, a number of major roads in Reading will see improvements starting on Monday. 12 main routes, including Tilehurst Road, Henley Road, Kidmore and Shinfield roads will see upgrades, with another 27 being resurfaced after the Reading Festival. The work forms part of a new £8 million highways investment.
Staying in Reading, and a key town centre junction is to close for 2 weeks. The four-way junction at St Mary's Butts, Oxford Road, Broad Street and West Street will be shut from Monday. Repairs will focus on the northern side, which the council says is deteriorating.
And a further £7.5 million a year will be spent over the next 3 years across Hampshire to fix potholes. Hampshire County Council says it follows a challenging winter of prolonged wet and freezing weather. In June, nearly 10,000 potholes were repaired.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the Thames Valley. Thank you so much for joining us this Friday evening. Still to come.
Pubs prepare as our Lionesses begin their World Cup campaign tomorrow. They're hoping for a boost as customers watch games from the bar.
And there's been plenty of bright spells across the region through today, but it's turning wetter and windier as we head towards the weekend. I'll have the full weekend forecast in about 15 minutes. See you then.
Look forward to that, Chris Page. And remember, you can find more stories from right across the region by heading to our website. itv.com/Meridian is our website. You can call us. Our number's on the screen now. Just to remind you, it's 0808 1010 095. You can follow us. That's on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram.
Next, a husband and wife team from Burgess Hill, hoping to break 2 world records by crossing the Atlantic in a specially made hot air balloon, have had to abandon their challenge mid-flight.
Such a shame. Mike and Deborah Scholes had spent years planning the epic journey, and finally yesterday they took off from Sussex in Canada, making headlines on television there. That's what we were just seeing.
Well, at lunchtime this afternoon, though, after 19 hours in the sky, a technical problem with the balloon meant that they had to make a controlled landing in Newfoundland. The adventurers, who we've been following from the start of their plans, were advised it was not safe to continue across the Atlantic and into Europe, and they were 2,000 miles off their final destination.
Mike and Deborah's team said the couple are disappointed, but they won't let this setback dampen their spirits. Let's hope we can catch up with them soon.
Yes, such a shame. Now, hopefully any journeys you're taking over the holidays will be a little smoother than that one. This weekend sees the start of the Great Summer Getaway, of course. And the RAC says more than 1 in 10 holiday car journeys will be heading to Hampshire, Dorset and to Sussex.
Drivers, though, are being urged to make a few essential checks before long trips, as a third of breakdowns happen because of preventable faults like the wrong tyre pressure or the engine coolant running low.
Nick Smith has been out on patrol with the National Highways team, trying to keep everyone on the move.
One surefire sign that the summer holidays are officially underway is gridlock on our motorways. And more cars on the road means a higher chance that we'll see breakdowns and lanes blocked, causing misery for others on the network. In July and August of last year, National Highways dealt with more than 21,000 breakdown incidents during the peak summer holiday season, a large proportion of which could have been preventable if these drivers had performed some simple safety checks before they'd set off on their long journeys. Drivers we spoke to at Pease Pottage Services in West Sussex told us what kind of checks they make before long trips.
I always maintain it myself, so it's always I know it's always in good functioning order, yeah. Yeah, I do prepare because I've got children, so I always make sure that at least the tyres, oil, water, washer fluid.
No, if we were doing a long journey, we're very practical, so we would definitely do tyre checks and check on the fuel consumption. Yeah, we need to put petrol in there, and yeah, we've got kids and dogs and stuff, so breaking down would be great.
Highways patrol officers like Sean and Tony are heading into their busiest period of the year. And I've come along for the ride to see what kind of incidents they deal with.
There's a lot of people that are travelling on long journeys. There's a lot of kids that are out in cars that are broken down, so helping them out, getting them in a safe place. There's also people that aren't topping up on things, so they're not putting fuel in the vehicle. Sometimes we get flat tyres and they're just sat in live lane. We want people to go left and get to an EA bay, anything like that, because we want people to be moving on the network.
It wasn't long before we found one driver trying to change a tyre on an area of managed motorway, which can be a live lane, with the patrol officers urging him to move on for his own safety. They have some general guidance for drivers to minimise the risk of running into problems.
So we want people to top up on fuel. Every 2 hours we recommend having a 15-minute stop off at least. There's 1 in 20 collisions are due to fatigue, so we want people to have a lot of rest. Inspect the vehicle, inspect the tyres, just inspect the general look about of the vehicle, and also have water, snacks, things like that for if there are any long incidents. Obviously people are in the car for a long time, we want people to be prepared for all conditions.
Later on, they even had to close an entire carriageway in one direction to recover bits of debris which had fallen from a faulty vehicle. While it's frustrating for those held up, luckily on this occasion it didn't cause a serious accident. But that's not always the case, and with more than a quarter of car owners using their vehicle to reach their holiday destination this summer, a few simple precautions can help keep others safe. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Now it's South Asian Heritage Month, and a performing arts group from Berkshire aiming to preserve Indian culture and heritage have been chosen out of thousands to represent our region at a national dance festival.
Well, the group of 6 girls at Kulakunj in Reading will be travelling across the country for the big show. Siri Hampapur went along to their final rehearsal.
Every look, every step, guiding the audience through their story. All about women empowerment and while showcasing South Asian heritage. After months of auditions, the dancers here at Kulakunj Performing Arts Group in Reading were chosen to perform at the National U Dance Festival in Newcastle this weekend.
So how does it feel to be chosen out of thousands to perform at the festival and doing something where you can showcase your heritage as well?
Absolutely thrilled that we could bring it forward, this heritage, to a national level, because I think out of the 12 groups we are the only one who are representing Indian cultural heritage on the stage in Newcastle. And I think the spirit of multiculturalism is absolutely brilliantly preserved here in this country. We need to raise the awareness in the community more and more about our heritage, and that's the best way forward, to keep performing and making people interested in this art form, and everybody's welcome.
Their performance piece, Still I Rise, is based on a Maya Angelou poem, invoking energy, beauty and rhythm, combined with the Tilana, a classical Indian dance within the Bharatanatyam style.
The poem, along with the Tilana, will bring across the message that we want to give, that women are unstoppable.
And this group of girls are exactly that, passionate about their dancing, but also about the significance of this South Indian art form.
The reason why Indian classical dance Bharatanatyam is surviving now is because of how it's been passed down orally. To be an individual who's been given the responsibility to present it and pass on the knowledge to future generations and youngers is quite honouring and humbling in itself.
Being able to perform it on such a nice platform is really proud, because I'm able to show something that, you know, started off in a state in the south of India, and I'm able to show that to such a diverse place, and I find it really enjoyable to be able to share that with everyone.
An exciting performance ahead of them, but they're not stopping here. Ananya hopes she can inspire more people to take up Bharatanatyam so these traditions can live on for generations to come. Siri Hampapur, ITV News, Reading.
All the best to them at the festival. It's so elegant,
yes,
aren't they?
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. We're talking about elegance. We've got Andrew Pate in the studio with us now. And Andy, you've been catching up with the new Southampton manager.
Absolutely. And beautiful, obviously.
Obviously.
Yes. Yeah, he's a very interesting chap, the new Saints boss, a vegan Buddhist with a very clear philosophy of how he likes to play football. Russell Martin, he held his first press conference as Saints boss this afternoon. He told us the players are adapting to his style of play, which he admits is very different to anything they've been used to before.
I think you just learn to survive and do what you need to do, and which is great. You know, the rewards of that can be really big, but to then try and do all of that and then try and actually do the stuff you dreamt of doing as a kid, which all involved the football, I think, having the ball at your feet and all that stuff, then it's a really beautiful opportunity for the players, and I hope that they can sense that, and it's a brilliant opportunity for us as well to show that we can be successful doing things in a certain way.
England's Lionesses begin their World Cup campaign tomorrow morning when they take on Haiti, as they look to follow up their success at the Euros last year. But sports fans aren't the only ones taking a keen interest in events in Australia and New Zealand. Many pub owners are hoping the tournament will give them an extra boost. Here's Kevin Ashford.
The action might be happening the other side of the world, but that's not deterred football fans from gathering to watch the Women's World Cup. Pubs and bars have always been a popular place to view the men's game, and there's a market for viewing women's football too. The new Unity pub in Brighton will be showing games involving England. Staff say they expect plenty of interest in the competition following last year's success by the Lionesses.
We saw it with the Euros that when the England women's won it, there was loads more fans going to watch the games. So I think there will be more interest after the Euros especially.
According to research, 38% of UK adults watched a game in the Women's Euros tournament last year, with 17% saying they'd like to watch matches in a pub or bar. That's a potential 8.8 million customers for venues. One of the biggest hospitality industry bodies says the World Cup could give a much-needed boost to a sector that's been feeling the effects of an economic downturn.
This gives an added value reason for coming out to the pub, bar, restaurant, hotel to watch the live sport event. And so it increases footfall, it increases revenue, and it reminds people about why they like being in a pub. It's about socialising together and celebrating together. So these events really important in driving footfall, trade, but also sales. You see a significant sales uplift.
However, in the past it hasn't always been easy to find places showing televised women's football games. These friends formed a group to locate venues to host watching parties after they got frustrated at not being able to source anywhere suitable.
We ended up doing watch parties at our houses. We would turn up at pubs and tell the bar staff that we were here to see the game. They didn't know anything about it, or they'd even show the game and they wouldn't put the sound on. So I think it's just a big struggle.
Baller FC, who organised this event, have had inquiries from women's football fans around the country, interested in setting up similar match viewing parties for the World Cup. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
England v Haiti is tomorrow morning at 10:30. If you're not heading to the pub, the match is on ITV1 and ITVX. Just 2 weeks to go before the Football League returns. Some tasty pre-season matches tomorrow, which include Brighton playing Chelsea in America, while Reading host Southampton. So looking forward to our little chat on Monday.
I know, may the best team win. And I'm not going to
Southampton.
And by the way, I'm not going to the pub tomorrow.
I think maybe I should sit there perhaps and we swap it, just so that I'm sort of in between you two.
Okay, no, it's all right.
It'll be fine, I'm sure.
It'll be fine.
Katie, thank you very much indeed. Now, the summer holidays, sadly, after a bit of a wet and blustery start for many people. The rough weather has cancelled tomorrow's Newport Carnival procession on the Isle of Wight, which is sad news for everybody there, particularly the organisers, of course. But let's just see if the weather is going to improve at all through the weekend. With the full forecast, here's Chris.
Whatever the weather, it always feels like home. Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
Hello there. Very good evening to you. Today across the region, some welcome sunshine for all of us, and it will have been welcome because when we look towards the weekend, it's going to be quite a wet and windy weekend to come for all too. Quite a humid feel through Sunday once most of the rain tends to clear, but it's all tied up in this area of low pressure, driving in those rain-bearing weather fronts as we go through the weekend, particularly on Saturday, and a bit of a squeeze on the isobars as well, suggesting it could be quite gusty, particularly on the coast. We could be seeing gusts near 40 miles an hour. Tonight, well, it's the calm before the storm at least. We've got some clear skies out there at the moment, so a little sunshine to end the day. But then during the early hours, more cloud piles in across the far west, giving us a wetter and a greyer start here. Temperatures, though, still about 13 to 14 degrees. Now, for much of Saturday, the rain through the morning will be patchy. The winds, though, strengthening, this time from a southwesterly, gusty along the south coast. Could be seeing gusts close to 40 miles an hour. Inland still at around 30 miles an hour, but still a wetter afternoon to come, more persistent with that rain, and temperatures about 18 to 20 degrees. As we leave Saturday and go into Sunday, you can see how the rain piles its way across the country, steady and heavy overnight, and then through Sunday we're in this wedge of the milder air here, which will make it feel quite close and quite humid, but still there will be one or two showers. Take care.
Vaillant Heat Pumps and Boilers sponsor ITV Meridian Weather.
So the weather not great for the start of the summer holidays, and there are 6 long, long weeks ahead. So how do you keep children entertained and their brains active as well?
Well, Matt, are you asking for a friend?
I should be taking notes, yes.
Well, one answer is at Winchester's Science Centre and Planetarium, where there's a summer festival for curious young minds. Rachel Hepworth has just sent this.
Well, yes, we're always keen to get the holiday started with a bang, or at least a whoosh. So where better to be than the Science Centre here in Winchester, and they've been learning about the science of fireworks. But there are loads more activities as well. This bit is about acoustics, of course, and there's lots of stuff designed with little people in mind. But believe me, there is stuff here for all ages as well. But I'm here with Ali Sawyer. What's your job title again?
I'm a curiosity officer.
What a brilliant title. And you're kind of behind the festival. What kind of things can people see here?
So we've got loads of things going on. So yeah, we've got our Science of Fireworks show, Boom Bang Fizz. We're learning all about the different colours in fireworks, how they propel, loads of different aspects of fireworks. We've got our planetarium show, Solar System Adventure, flying through the stars, the planets. You might be able to see some dwarf planets and galaxies if you're lucky as well. And then we've also got some great outdoor activities. So we've got Nature's Music Makers out in our biospace garden, and that's all about recreating the sounds that you hear in the world around you. So recreating frogs' noises or the hooves of horses. We've also got on our South Downs lawn, we've got the Curiosity Cupboard. That's a bit of a show and tell kind of vibe, and we've got loads of really cool artefacts in there, like we've got real animal skulls, we've got honeycomb, a 4-leaf clover, snake skin, loads of different things to interact with there. And then we've got a story time, which is loads of nature-themed stories, and the kids can really interact and have a go and join in with those stories themselves.
And it's all about learning chemistry, physics and biology, of course, but how important is it to make it fun as well as educational?
Yeah, it's really important. So actually in school there's almost that pressure to learn and that formal setting, but here it's so informal, so casual, and we do things in much more entertaining way. Big bangs, loads of different things like that. And it just means that those things that you're learning whilst you're having fun are actually sinking in that little bit better.
And well, hopefully we will meet some scientists of the future here as well.
Hopefully, absolutely.
Rachel Hepworth there with some great ideas.
It does look good, actually.
It does.
It is hard keeping the children busy for the whole summer. We've got like a wall planner on the fridge, and the children have written on it exactly what they want to do.
And then what do you do?
Well, I go and rub it out.
No, no.
Yeah, exactly. We should be watching the football and the cricket for the entire summer holidays.
Well, talking about the football, so Andy, you mentioned that people might be at the pub at 10:30. Surely it's tea and toast time.
Yeah, you know, all together support the Lionesses.
No, we'll be supporting the Lionesses, but maybe not from a pub.
From the sofa.
From the sofa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, in just a moment here, it's the ITV Evening News with Charlene White.
Thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend, whatever you're doing. Bye-bye.
Happy weekend. Come on, England.